Welcome to Intentionally FinTech, the podcast where we dive deep behind the purpose of favorite FinTech brands. I'm your host for today, Michael, the CEO and founder of a creative agency called The Host. After 7 years in the creative industry and after an unfortunate wake-up call in late January, I was forced to find my purpose. That is to help founders like my guests on this podcast do what inspires them most. On this show, we're going to be talking about the mission and dreams and even purpose behind your favorite or emerging fintech brands, the values that drive their day-to-day work, and just how exactly clarity of purpose helps them compete in an otherwise cluttered environment. So let's begin for today. My guest for today has a very unique take upon the whole fintech world, and I'm afraid I will not be doing him justice if I do introduce him. So, Xavier, do you mind telling us a few words about yourself?
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. It's very nice to talk about the purpose of our businesses and what was the root. What is the root of everything? If I have to define myself, I would say that I am an entrepreneur since probably forever. And I am in the fintech world since at least 12 years. So we started a company 12 years ago called Eddebex. It's a marketplace to sell commercial receivables. And so we started in the financing business at that time. And most recently, we created a new company. So it's not the same founders, but I am one of the founder. So a new company called Finrack, and we do an inventory-based financing through a very specific scheme. That's what we do today and what I do today.
Wonderful. For those at home that don't know necessarily what inventory-based financing means, could you describe that in a couple of words?
Absolutely. So a lot of companies have inventories to run. If they do wholesale, if they do production, they need inventories. So they have one warehouse or several warehouses with stuff to sell or to produce. And the difficulty when you have those inventories is that you have to finance those inventories. And with the current crisis, and I put in the plural on purpose, so there is the Ukraine war, there is the Red Sea problem sometimes with the Houthis, there is some supply chains problems who started mainly during the COVID times. So companies, they had and they have to increase the inventories to cover those problems, and somebody has to finance them, and it's difficult for banks to do so because banks, they don't understand really what's in the inventories of the companies. So instead to be a hurdle for companies to have inventories, what we do is we propose to finance companies through their inventories. So the usage of the funds are not necessarily to increase the inventories, but maybe to finance cash flow, investment, whatever. That's the choice of the companies. And the way we do that is through sales and buyback. It means it's not a loan. So it's not a credit. What we do, we become owner of the inventories of the company, but obviously the inventories remains in the warehouse of the companies, and the companies continue to use the inventories as usual. So they take stuff, they put it back some other to replace, etc. But we are the juridical owner of the stock of the inventories. And after 1 year, because we do a 1 year contract, the company buys back the entire inventory at the same price. So there is no margin. Obviously, there is a cost. We are a for-profit company, not a non-profit. There is a cost, but it's not on the margin on the product. So it's very straightforward for the company. They say, okay, I sell my inventories for 1 million, and 1 year later, I buy back for exactly the same price. And if they want to continue the contract, it's also something possible. So it can be more than 1 year. That is what we do.
Wonderful. So you also offer the possibility of extension, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if any of our listeners are interested, you're going to have Xavier Corman's personal LinkedIn and socials of his company somewhere in the description box around this podcast. Depends where you're listening or watching this from. But we've spoken enough about Finrack, which is Xavier's company. Let's us shift towards him as an entrepreneur. So, Xavier, I want to shift the spotlight onto you, if that's okay. I want to ask you, what made you want to build Finrack? What was the moment where it all clicked and you said, okay, I have to build this?
Actually, what I mentioned is that we started a company called Eddebex 12 years ago, and we are well known. This company is well known in certain markets, in France, in Belgium, in Portugal, not to mention. And as we are known in this market, we have also some feedback from the market saying there is a demand from the market to finance stocks, to finance inventories. So through personal contact, I received a request to build a solution that was not existing in the market. So there are a solution. Obviously, the market didn't wait for us, but the existing solution are very old-fashioned, and so it's not very intuitive. It's complex to put in place, and so it's not very successful, I would say. And so the founders, we came with really a blank page saying, okay, if we want to finance a company based on the inventories, what will be the ideal situation? And so we start from really scratch, from zero. And then we came to the market saying, okay, that's the way we would like to do. That's not the way it works today. Yeah, okay, but that's our proposal. And then obviously you have to adapt yourself to the specifics of the market and about the legal aspect, about sales, etc., pricing. And it took several months to build this solution.
Perfect. So if I understand correctly, you started from a gap in the market. Is that correct? Right. But would you say there was also a mission, a higher purpose behind your starting this company? Or was it just purely, I found this gap, I have the experience, I'll go for it?
No, I see an evolution in the financing market. So I am in this business since 12, 13 years. And what I see is, especially in Belgium, it's my country, we see that most of the companies, they rely on banks for their financing. And with the evolution, this last decade, I would say, we see an evolution on the banks because banks, they reduce their personnel, and so they reduce also the human resources to everything that is complex. So they focus on easygoing business. So when you need a loan and you have good figures and it's straightforward for the bank to analyze your figures, then you press 2 clicks and you have the money on your bank account. So it's much faster than before. So it's much more efficient than before. The problem, if the bank says no, then there is nobody to help you. And then the entrepreneur is facing really a wall, saying, okay, but why it's a no? And how can I turn this no into a yes? And then there is no expertise in the banks anymore, especially for small and medium companies. For large companies, it's different. But for small and medium companies, you don't have anyone in the bank saying, we say no because A, B, C. If you fix A, B, then maybe it will be a yes. And so those companies, they are facing problems of financing, and sometimes they are really good companies. So it's a no because it's an automatic process. But if you put some brain, you can say yes. But a brain costs a lot of money. So our purpose is not to replace automatic stuff by brains because it's too expensive. It's to replace automatic process to more evolved process, more complex process. So we do analysis that banks are not able to do today. Why? Because we are focusing on a very niche market. We do financing based on inventories. If you come to us to ask a leasing, a credit card, we say, sorry guys, it's not our services. We don't do that. We have only one job, financing based on inventories. So we do it better than the banks because it's our niche, it's our specialty.
I understand. I admire when entrepreneurs decline business because it does not align with their purpose or with what they're trying to achieve. You have all these founders who, for an example, take whatever comes in and without filtering, but they don't understand that a bad client or an unaligned client will actually damage your business more than an otherwise aligned client. So I really admire that about what you do at Finrack. But you said something very interesting to me as someone who's into branding and helping people show themselves with the world, so to say. You said you started because I noticed a pain point. You said that entrepreneurs sometimes get to the point where they get declined funding, but they don't know why. So would you be all right if we did it together here on the podcast, something like I do with my clients at the agency? We state your why statement. Are you familiar with what that is anyway? Do you know the golden circle from Simon Sinek? Are you familiar with that framework?
No, sorry.
Don't worry about it. This is an episodic podcast, so I do all the theory part. I say it over and over and over again so that people watching understand. So I don't have an illustration with me because I'm moving studios, so you'll have to do an exercise of imagination with me. So imagine three concentric circles, 1, 2, and 3. In the circle here in the center, we have Y. Over here, we have how. And over here at the bottom side, at the very outward circle, we have what. We start with the purpose, then we move to how we're different, and finally we say what we do. And this constitutes proper communication when it comes to clients. This is what inspires customers to buy from you. It inspires trust. You talk clearly, and you don't have to resort to manipulation. What do I mean by manipulation? Discounts, or we are the best in the world for this. This is manipulation. Meanwhile, this is who we are, and we attract people. That's what um, properly communicating does. So what I do with my customers at the host, at the agency, we find out their why, and then we build what we call the golden circle. We find their how and their what. So should we do just a small exercise, find your company's why on air here? It's something I did with all my guests, and they enjoyed it. All right. So if from what I understood, you are very much into to help these founders who are getting declined to understand the reason why they're getting declined. So you believe that there should be a justice when it comes to funding, and people should know exactly why or why they're not accepted. So if you were to put this in a why statement, the way I'd say it is this: at Finrack, we believe that everyone should have the access to an objective evaluation. Thus, through our unique system and our first-hand experience with our niche market, we can offer insights that banks lack. And thus, we provide inventory-based funding. Does that sound right? Does that sound a little bit like Finrack?
Yeah, sounds good indeed, but I would be a little bit wider. Actually, it's really to fund companies that are, for me, the why is really to fund companies that today are not acceptable by banks in general. And obviously, we have a niche, is the one with inventories. And obviously, it's not possible to accept everyone because there are still rules and conditions. But it's really that it's not to replace banks, it's to go where banks are not accepting business anymore. And
All right.
this gap is becoming huge because automation of banks.
All right. I understand. Okay, let's take this slide that we discussed together. How does it show into your company's culture? How do employees talk about it? How does it show in the product itself? I mean, the product itself is obvious. How does it show in the team? Or even when you go to talk about the company, how does your why show in your everyday operations?
So the most important in the company is that what we are building, because the company is new, is nothing is definitive. So it's a little bit the adventure of a new company. So the preconcept of all employees or collaborators is nothing is definitive. So the way we do something today will be maybe different tomorrow, and maybe it's different from yesterday. That's something important. So it push people to question again and again why we do that way and how can we improve, how can we serve better everyone, not only clients but also internal colleagues, whatever. That's for me the very important spirit of the company. It's really to question always, what can we change for something better? And it's why it's enthusiastic for people, but it doesn't work for everyone, because there is no certainties.
I understand. So would you call yourself an adventurer in that sense?
Definitely.
That's great. I'm so happy you're here with us today. Okay, about what you said. It's very important that you pick the right people to work with you and people who believe in the same values that you believe in. Because your job as a founder is to inspire everyone to follow your lead, to follow your why. And the way you do that, and I'll say this again, I'll say it on many episodes, and I'll say it again for the purpose of everybody just having to watch one episode to get what I'm talking about, is that you imagine your company as a pyramid, right? So something like this. You are the founder with your why are on top. How is the top management? They know how to bring your why into the world. And finally, below you have employees who handle the what. They work on the product itself, on the what. So your goal as a founder is to properly channel your message, your why down to the how, to the management who can take decisions accordingly and direct the what, the employees. And if everyone understands what they're doing, why they're doing, and how they're doing stuff, then the market also understands. So that's a challenge for the general entrepreneur. But I'm happy that you already have internalized this in Finrack. So it's not often that you hear that actually. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I want to move because you said you have a very big experience when it comes to fintech. And I think it's not a surprise for you to learn that fintech is very popular for the red tape, for the regulation. So I want to ask, how do you at Finrack navigate the regulation, but also stay true to your purpose, to your why that we discussed earlier?
It's a tough question. Luckily, regulation in our field is quite limited because we don't do credit. What we provide are not loans, but really sales and buyback. In the point of view of regulation is different than a credit. But anyway, we have a vehicle to fund the company. So I mean to buy the inventories, and this vehicle is funded by people or companies or investors, I would say. And so in that aspect, there is some regulation. So the way we do is try to escape the most difficult regulations by respecting obviously all the requirements, but also to put some limits. For example, in our vehicle, we onboard investors, but to avoid all this MiFID European regulation, it's about how to protect individuals to invest. We go only for professional investors. So that's a way to escape regulation. And also we don't want to create stress or problem to anyone. So if a very small investor would like to come to us and to take, I don't know, to invest and to take some risk or to not understand exactly what we do, we prefer to say, don't put money with us, go elsewhere. There is plenty of money in the market, so it's not a problem, but we prefer people who understand really what they do and what we do, the way we do, but also to respect all the rules. And so the way to manage is to have very good lawyers and to anticipate. Obviously, it's not by fixing a problem, it's really to anticipate. So it's to go to lawyers to say, this is what we want to do. Can you approve or disapprove the way we will do? And then we follow their advices.
That's an interesting question. You're the very first person to actually mention lawyers when it comes to regulation on this podcast. Okay, but
They are
moving
necessary.
on. Yeah, they are. I would have thought so, but here I am, 10 episodes and going, and
And it costs less. It costs less when you ask them in advance than when it's too late.
if you were to frame an advice for the people watching at home, what would you say? Get lawyers.
Absolutely. All the contracts we've wrote has been done with lawyers, but don't expect from lawyers creativity. That's entrepreneur. So you come with your project, you say, I would like to write this in the contract. And the lawyer, come on. And then they say, maybe if you write that way, then we negotiate until we have something definitive. But the advantage with a lawyer, at least you respect the law, which is something you must do in fintech.
Definitely, 100%. And what we do, especially sometimes we have brands which are very out there, and it's very hard because then it becomes a layer project. Branding has to collaborate with the lawyers, has to collaborate with the entrepreneurs, like a triangle of sorts, and it gets very complicated. But like I said, if we follow that framework, which I explained with the circles, it gets a lot easier. But I want to talk about something because I have Hugh here who also works with investors, and there's a lot of fintechs listening, fintech founders emerging or even mature ones. There's also VCs listening to this, by the way. I want to ask you one question concerning that, if that's okay. Do you think investors who are looking to invest in fintechs can tell when a fintech stands for something? Like if they have a mission, they have their own why behind it? Or do you think it's just, they're looking at the deck, they talk about the performance, 5 years, and they look sensible. Yeah, they look like they could project this cash flow. Is it just check boxes, or do you think they're very interested into why a company does why it does?
It's a good question, and I don't think there is a single easy answer. If I take my company, so I'm in Finrack, so there is a vehicle. The vehicle is only to buy inventory, so it's very specific. But to finance Finrack itself, then we needed investors to build everything we are doing. So we needed that. And the investors who put equity in the company, they came to us, they accept to invest because they believed in the team, they believed in the person, and also because our track record. But I talked several times with VCs, with different funds, and not all of them, they have the same point of view. But more and more we see investors, we are looking for the purpose, the why, and also the impact. So also the impact on the environment, the planet, whatever, call it how you want. So we see more and more, and those investors, obviously they are looking for return. So without return, there is no investment. That's for sure. So don't dream that I will save the planet. I will do fintech to save the planet, and money will come easily. You need to prove that your business model is strong, and most of it is the team. You have to show that you are the good team to deliver your promises. Otherwise, it's only non-existing
A
indeed.
speech.
So yeah, it's bullshit.
Definitely.
Indeed. I try to avoid this word, but it's
No,
the
don't
case.
worry, we're not on TV. I think we can curse. I think we're fine.
So team is really important. So the way we build the team at Finrack, there are people totally different. So one is pure tech, another one is pure sales, etc. So we are very diverse because we believe that together we can achieve the plan. So people invest in team. They obviously invest also in the business model, and more they invest also in the why in terms of environment, planet, etc.
I understand. So would you say that return goes hand in hand with the why? It replaces it, but it contributes to the return itself.
Yes, but not always.
Okay, I understand. Perfect. Well, let me take you back to the early days of Finrack, right, where the resources were tight. How did your why, your mission, help you stay focused and, not move left or right?
Wow. Actually, the why, yes, it's to be in the gap between what the banks cannot do anymore and what is possible. That's if I want to summarize. And then the way we stay there, we have a plan actually. We really have a plan on the how to do our plan, and it's a medium term plan, so it's not a 5-year plan, but it will take at least 2 or 3 years to build everything. So we have to execute the plan today, and it's what our investors are waiting for. It's that we deliver the plan. So it's like a map. We follow a map. We need this creativity to say the way we do and the road we took on the map might change, but maybe it's the same. We'll see. But at least the way to do the way to go might change, but the target is the same. So it's the way to reach that target. And so it's not very difficult to stay focused, really, because we have a lot to do still. We have clients and very happy clients. We have some testimonials coming on videos, etc. And trust me, to have entrepreneurs coming in front of a camera saying, I needed an alternative financing for my company, and they accept to do it in front of the camera, it means that they are very happy. Otherwise, they don't talk at all. So we have clients, we have good process, but there is still a long way to make everything that we want to do. So probably question will come in 1 year or 18
Okay,
months.
I understand. I understand. Okay, now this is my favorite question from the whole question set. Imagine I had a magic wand, right? And if I just did this, anything you wanted to change about your business currently, whatever you want it to be, would change. What would change, and why would that change?
I would accelerate time. Yeah.
That's a first
Everything is
one.
too slow for me.
Everything is too slow.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you mean?
So what we do, it's at the end of the day, there is some complexity. And so for the clients, it takes time to interact with us. So we have a sales cycle quite long. So I would reduce that. And it's what I mentioned just before. We have a map to go to a destination, and the travel is going fast, but it's not fast enough for me. So instead to spend 18 months, we can reduce in 3 months. I would be very happy. It's why I said yes to accelerate time.
I understand. Well, if I do this, I don't think something will happen, but we can always hope, right? All right. Now we're getting to the customer side of our conversation. Getting people to trust you in fintech is not something easy to do. So Do you think that your mission is helping lower that trust barrier?
I think it's even above mission is values. People, especially in fintech and in the financing business, they need trust, because without trust, you don't put your money, you don't open your figures. So you need trust. Trust is related to reputation, but not only. Because when you talk to investors, or when you talk with companies who are looking for financing, they need to understand your values. And so reputation actually is the expression of the fact that you respect in the past your values. And so after 5, 10, 15 years in the market, people, they say, oh, okay, this person respects his own values. I understand those values. And so I can trust. I can trust the person. I can trust the company. And so the challenge, when you are small, it's easy, but the challenge is also to keep this with your employees. And so you need to
Exactly.
recruit based on values. And so
Exactly.
we recruit the values and the soft skills. And if the person is not very technical on a certain aspect, that's not a problem. You can learn later. But soft skills, you can't learn, and values, it's in yourself. And so that's something very important, because then you have the trust of people. And even if you have difficulties, because when you build a company, you have always difficulties. If you respect your values, people will follow you until a certain time. Obviously, if it's going messy, then people stop. But you can always explain that went a little bit wrong, but we try to fix it, and our value is transparency, and I tell you directly to you, okay, I understand.
Right. I want to say something. If I can give you a piece of insight from my own experience when working with you, if that's okay with you. So people don't actually buy what you do. They buy why you do stuff. And because they buy why you do stuff, if their why is in sync with your why, they already trust you. And this goes back to psychology, actually, because we have two brains. It's the old brain and the new brain. The old brain is the one which is emotional and feels, when you get the gut feeling, I should do this. For an example, the gut feeling that I had, I should invite Xavier over because I think we're going to have a wonderful conversation. I didn't know you, but I had a feeling that you would be a good guy. And here we are, right? It's the feeling, but I cannot put it in words. Why? Because language is in the new brain. This evolved 10,000 years ago when we came out as humans. So this is where the speech is and the rational component of us. But when we engage into a transaction or business partnership, we think with the old brain. But then because the old brain doesn't know how to speak, we rationalize it. Oh, because he's a very experienced guy and he knows fintech in and out. This is just rationalizing. But the thing is, on an emotional level, I believe the same thing you believe. And we're going to work there just fine. So the goal of a company, if you ask me, is to communicate its why clearly enough so that people will understand it and they will immediately see, oh, this is an authentic guy. Because this is what authenticity is, communicating why you do stuff clearly enough so that people understand it. So that's what I do with a company that is walk my door front, if you know what I mean.
Fully agree. Fully agree.
Wonderful. Okay, let's talk about you again. Say years from now on, 120 years, God willingly, people are talking about you in the industry. What do you hope they say? I'm not talking about slogans, but something which matters to you personally. What do you think they will say, or what do you want them to say? What should your legacy be?
I will take your word. Xavier was authentic.
That is a beautiful, wow. Okay, I have to write this down. This is inspiring.
Yeah, I truly
Yeah,
believe. Yeah, and constant. So I think it's difficult to meet people or to have interaction with people changing constantly. So, and again, it's on values, it's on the very root, not on the action. You can behave in one way or another. That's not the problem. If behind your values, your roots are always the same, and then it's authenticity, because you can play a role, but at a certain time, it doesn't work. And then it's, yeah, you get feeling at certain moment you see that this person is fake, and then it's over, it's finished. And
exactly.
again, you can forgive a lot to people when they are real, when they are authentic. And if they are fake, very small error, very small mistake, you say, this I want to stop with this person because I don't have the
Exactly.
good feeling. And so yes,
Exactly.
authentic.
Beautiful.
This will be on my
Obituary.
obituary.
Xavier was authentic.
I'm happy. I'm
Beloved
happy then.
husband, beloved husband. Do you have children? I suppose you do.
Yeah,
Beloved father, husband, beloved son, authentic entrepreneur. In this order.
literally.
Wonderful. Okay. You strive towards authenticity and purpose. It's clear to me. But what would you think would happen if a lot more fintech people or fintech entrepreneurs would be more purposeful, more authentic to their own why? What do you think would change in the industry?
First, I think most of them are authentic, really. Then it depends on the field of fintechs, because fintechs is very global and there are different fields. There are the payments, there are financing, there are exchange, there are investment, there are regulation tech. Some are less authentic because there is huge opportunities in terms of cash money to make. I'm thinking about, for example, the crypto market. A lot of people came in the crypto market because there was a lot of money in it, and I'm not sure that most of them are really authentic. They are. Obviously, they are. But when you go to concrete business, I mean, what we do, we finance real business. We finance real companies. Those companies, they have employees, they have clients, they have suppliers. So it's the real economy. Then it's different because you are interacting with real people, especially in small and medium companies. Companies are still related to people. It's not something very virtual. And then you need authenticity. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And when I see the other solution provider, competitors or similar, they're authentic. Most of them, they are really authentic. When you go to payment, it's a little bit different because it's more schemes that are automatic. And so it's more technical. When you take regulation tech, it's a big business because there are more and more regulations. So you need help as a company to face this regulation. So yeah, they provide a service, but it's more opportunistic. There is regulation, how to make money out of that, you see. Yeah, so it's not one single business, fintech. It's very different.
I understand. Okay, we have one final thing for you today, Xavier. So we like to test our guests a little bit to see if they do pass the celery test. Are you familiar with the celery test at
No,
all? Okay, let me explain it to you. So celery as in the legume. So if I were to be let's say a health guru, and I would be into getting you, my mission or my why would be to getting you healthy, would I offer you some fast food, not to name any brands because we're going to get sued, or would I offer you a celery salad? Which one do you think I would offer you?
not the fast food.
Exactly, not the fast food. So the thing is this, when we have a purpose, when we have a why, everything we do needs to speak that why. It needs to reflect it. So the celery test is me taking a look at a piece of your maybe website or a product, whatever you want to show me. But I think website would be easier. Then see how, from a branding perspective, if your why is obvious in it. Shall we do that on there real quick? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm an adventurer.
Worst case scenario, you get some free feedback, so there's nothing else to lose
Okay,
here.
good.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick. Finrack.com. Okay, let's see. Beautiful. Okay, so this is your landing page. Okay, inventory-based finance and look the value of your stock assets. Okay, this is nice. You already do this here, where you already give testimonials, people who've worked with you. They trust us, so this is a good trust thing. We're here to see if your why is reflected, the why of you addressing, of helping these companies which the banks are unable to help. So you're already off of help straight ahead, so I would say this is okay. Financial benefits. Okay, you're moving into the what directly and the how, and flexible finances. Okay, you're talking about what? Why is different. So what I would do is I would change the order you put things in here if I were you to make it why, how, what, because this is the way we speak to the old brain I was telling to you about. That's how it should be spoken to inspire. And this is actually not my idea, it's Simon Sinek's idea. So I need to give credit where it's due. But that's what I would do here. So I would just reorder the sections. But other than that, this looks fine. And then you have another call to action here, which is very good. Okay, this is okay. Let's see. I'll take five. Just look randomly at your financing options. This is okay. And then, okay, this is very clear. Okay, let's look at, okay, I want to see the financing inventories. Okay, at Finrack, we are proud of supporting ambitious companies in their growth projects. Okay, very good. This is a very good thing because you're saying your why here, and that's a good thing. You start with why. And you talk about who helped. Okay, this is giving trust finance sectors. Let me just glance at this also. I like this also because you're helping people to check exactly I don't have to read this whole paragraph to understand what you're doing, so that's a good thing. And it's also from an accessibility point of view. So thank you for doing this. Actually, it's good. Okay, yeah, this is fine. About us, I would make it easier for people to find about you. That's one thing. So I put it earlier in the thing or make it more obvious because people buy from people, right? Even if it's B2B, people trust people, right? So I would put a lot more pictures of you also because I don't see your team here. That's what I would do here and the about us. And the company here, maybe just put a map also, but that's just like something, but this is just a plain contact form. I would make something with a map or something more to make it look more genuine and intentional. But that's all I have for you, actually. It's a pretty clean website, to be frank with you. Are you ready to receive my verdict on everything? Okay, so the only thing I would do, which is not bad, but I would change it, is the order you have the stuff on your landing page, because that's how I also do it for my customers and for myself also, because that's how you talk to the old brain. You speak why, how, and then what, and suddenly there's a bell, psychologically speaking, there's a bell which rings, I like this guy. That's what Apple does, by the way, and they're succeeding because this is Apple, and the laptop's also Apple. So this is how they communicate with their audience and they attract and they inspire trust, right? So that's what I would do. Make it easier for people to find about you and put more pictures about you, of you and your team, because that's what people, yes, because if I have stock pictures, it doesn't really help. If I see you, Xavier, then, oh, I trust this guy, right? But other than that, it's pretty good. Like for me, a passing grade is 7. You get a 6.5, 6.5. That's a very good grade.
No, but thanks for the advices. Thanks for the advices. Indeed, we have still some room for improvement, and definitely it's something we have to think about.
No, don't worry about it, Shadia. Like I said, my mission is to inspire to do what inspires you most. So I'm here to help you. So if this helped you, I already did my
Thank you.
mission. All right. Well,
Thank
that's
you,
going to be the
Michael.
end of our episode today. I think we are. Are we still on time? We're just about to close our our time for today. Do you have any last words for the audience?
No, just follow your dreams, keep your values, and thanks again, Michael, for your invitation. It was very kind to invite us.
Don't worry, Xavier. It was my pleasure to have you here. Well, guys, this was this episode of Intentionally FinTech with Xavier Corman and Finrack. Make sure you check out their socials, their website, and well, everything else they have. I'll link everything in the description box or info box, depending where you're watching this from. I've been Michael Phillips, your host. Together with Xavier Corman and Finrack, we wish you a pleasant day.